On this episode, we're going to talk about how to find the best properties, is contrarian actually now mainstream, and where are all the joint venture investors? Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Peg TV. Thanks for watching episode 1 and 2. The reaction we're getting is great. And obviously we're now back in the UK. Episode 2 was shot in the Dominican Republic. I'm actually feeling a little bit disappointed because it's snowing outside and it's spring. I was getting all excited about the joys of spring, but you can't see it outside, but it's snowing, which wasn't quite what we were expecting coming back from the Caribbean. But there we go, it's only going to get better from here. Now, it's been a fairly busy week, lots going on, been doing a lot of training over the last 7 or 8 days. We've actually got a bit of an audience here today. So one of the projects that I'm working on with a business partner is about a coaching program. It's absolutely revolutionary and disruptive, and it's going to be really exciting. We launch it later in the year. I'm going to keep you in the loop for that. But we've got Scott, who's over here, and we're spending a couple of days working on that. So say hello to Scott. Scott, say hi.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Absolute pleasure. And then we've also brought on a new member of staff in Peg, which is really exciting. We've got Sally, who is our programs manager and also our beautiful assistant and voiceover artist for Peg TV. So Sal, welcome to the team.
Good morning.
Good morning. So that's cool. So actually been doing quite a lot of recruitment, and I'm sure we'll get some questions on recruitment, building a team later in the series. And at that point, I'll probably be handing over to John, as he's the recruitment expert. But we've also been building the team further in Phoenix Rentals, which is also exciting. So doing several interviews and speaking to people, which is good. But anyway, I think it's time to get on with the show. So Sally, if we could have the first question, please.
Of course. From Dan Gladstone, he says, in your experience and talking to other successful investors, which seems to be the most successful method of sourcing property? In other words, if you had to choose one, what would it be?
Dan, thanks for the question. How to source property? This is a great question, and the answer is going to be a little bit fuzzy. And my first thing that I'll say is depends on what your strategy is. It depends where you are in the country, and it depends on the market. So there's lots of different ways of sourcing property. Now, the way that we put it into our business is we actually have lots of different avenues out there looking for property at the same time. So we have estate agents, relationships with estate agents. We have remote sourcing. We have virtual assistants, data scraping, the portals, Rightmove and Zoopla, classifieds, Gumtree. We have some direct-to-vendor stuff out there, but it's very targeted. Now, what I would say, Dan, is I don't know what area of the world or the country you're in. I don't know what your strategy is. From my point of view, when the market is tougher, so it's a sort of recession market, housing crash market, the direct-to-vendor marketing works really well, but also the estate agency route works really well because there's lots of repos around, nobody's buying property. So when we started in property in 2011, it was pretty much estate agent sourcing. Bought a lot of properties very cheaply that nobody else was buying, and actually it's going to feed in a little bit when we have a question in a second about being contrarian. At the moment, stronger market, more difficult to find those deals. I personally have not found a deal through an estate agent since beginning of 2014. So the strategies that's working for us really well at the moment is using our virtual assistants to scrape data, find vendors' circumstances before we even go and see properties, and then do targeted approaches to vendors. Now, there's 3 things that I say you need to get any deal. 1 is know the circumstances of the vendor. 2 is find the timing of the deal, and 3rd is to get some leverage. And if you have a team out there using a lot of resources that we use, like Rightmove, PropertyBee, Mouse Price, you can find out those 3 things and then go direct to vendor. So always building that rapport with the vendor is going to get you better deals. And generally what we're doing is we're getting introductions to vendors through local councils, regeneration officers, and even sourcers. And there's nothing wrong with actually just buying a property through a sourcer as long as the figures work for you. But if I look at the big wins that we've had, they've all come from our relationship with the council regeneration officer and the council empty homes team, who have put us in contact with the vendors, and we've then gone in and got some fantastic deals through that. But that's what's working in our area. You have to analyse what your areas, what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and it's going to be very much dependent about that. So I know this is not a question I can just say, boom, go estate agents, or boom, go direct to vendor. It's going to depend on all those things. So have a think about what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and then think about what's the best route to identify circumstance, timing, and leverage to put those offers in. Long answer to the question, I'm afraid. That's cool. Sally, you can get the next question.
Yeah, from Jay Britton. The analogy, observe the masses and do the opposite. Who or what constitutes the masses? Are we in the community the minority doing the opposite, or are we now, due to the market being hot for property, the ones who have become the masses?
Jay, I absolutely love this question, and when I saw it come up on the Facebook feed, I had to really sit and think about it a little bit. Now, first of all, I know you actually asked two questions. Just so we don't shortchange you, we've separated that into two separate questions, and your second part of that question is going to be on Peg TV episode 4, so make sure you watch that. But the first question, I think that's a brilliant question, and my gut feeling is yes, anything contrarian inevitably turns mainstream. Now, it depends what you class as mainstream, it depends what you class as the masses. So I could say that the masses in property, most people who buy property, probably save up for a deposit, 25% deposit, buy a buy-to-let property, 25% deposit, buy it, and just leave that money stuck in there, getting a decent enough return on their investment. Us in the active side of things for property investment, we will look at different strategies. It could be lease options, below market value, rent to rents. However, even within our circles, when a strategy is working in a certain market cycle, all of a sudden everyone will be talking about it and everybody will be doing it. So I absolutely would say that what is classed as contrarian will only stay contrarian for a finite amount of time. And then you're going to get everybody else kind of jumping on the bandwagon. So when we started investing in HMOs, 2011, 2012, the competition was pretty low. So we were buying a lot, sort of 3-4 a month for ourselves and our clients. And then literally overnight, I think it was Christmas 2014, or was it 2013? I can't remember, but we came back in the January and the market was saturated because everybody had jumped on that bandwagon. But because we were agile enough, we did something which we call zooming out of the business. Zoom out, have a look at the big picture, then zoom back in and put ourselves on the right direction. So in our property businesses, it's very important to always be one step ahead of the competition. So anything that we can see is starting to build momentum and become more mainstream in the investing community, will then evolve it or look for a different way of doing business. So when HMOs became heavy, we went into service departments. Now actually, service departments is probably the new HMO. So although it's contrarian to do service departments, actually a lot of people are now doing it. So we're now generating or developing different strategies. One of them is called lease and leverage, where we're taking blocks of flats or HMOs, and rather than letting them out by the room, we are subletting to a company, a supported living company or charity. And actually it's a great 80-20 way of thinking, but we are always thinking one step ahead, making sure we're agile enough to evolve with the market and not end up in that mainstream. But I would definitely go with that theory that see what the masses are doing and do something different. So at the moment, the masses are very scared about Osborne's stamp duty changes, the tax changes. So the masses will be doing one thing. I would suggest this is going to be an opportunity for the truly contrarian, and I mean the truly contrarian, to do something different. Great questions today. Scott, what do we think of the questions?
Love the questions. Love the questions.
It's exciting questions. Ross is very excited behind the camera, I can tell you. Sal, last question, please.
Yes, finally, from Faz Khalik. What's the best way of finding an angel investor? And that's if friends and family are exhausted.
Faz, thanks for your question. Angel investors, and I'm assuming you mean sort of all forms of joint venture finance. Here's my massive tip for joint venture finance is credibility. Credibility in your marketplace, credibility in your space. Something we really focus on is building that brand and that image in the public space. Social media is massively important for this because you can build that brand very, very quickly, very easily. And I would say that when you're looking for, let's say angel investment, so you're probably talking about high net worth people who want to invest. Now, they will want to see different things. Everybody's different. So the first thing you need to ask them is, what do they want in a joint venture partnership? It could be they want an equity stake. It could be they want an interest rate. It could be they want a certain percentage return on their capital employed. You have to find that out. And when you find that out, you can give it to them. However, even with that done, and that's probably step number one, is for them to then invest their money with you, is that perception of credibility. So what I'd say, Faz, is build that brand, build that image, make yourself the go-to person in your space. Definitely. And the guys on our mastermind program will, well, they do get bored of me saying this, and Sal, you probably get fairly bored of me saying this as well, is niche in something. So whatever it is, be it 4 or 5 bed HMOs that you're converting to the student market, be it small blocks of flats, be it rent to rent, be it service apartments, you niche in something, become the best at it, and then you have that credibility. Now, of course, there's that starting out time where you're still building that credibility and you're just trying to bring in that finance. So you've got to put some real hustle in. Now, you know I'm a systems man, but at some point you've got to put that hustle in. So it's almost playing a game. It's developing the relationships with the investors, developing the relationships with the agents, with the vendors, what you're doing, creating that image while bringing in finance, making the two come together. But the big thing is, Faz, tell everybody what you do. Get to networking events, and not just property networking events, business networking events. Totally immerse yourself in the property community and the business community, because while you're out there networking, and being on social media is networking as well, and I'm talking about social media quite a lot at the moment because I think it's the biggest game changer that all of us in the business world and certainly the property world, I think we're pretty slow in the property world to cotton on and use social media effectively. If you immerse yourself, put out all those invisible tendrils when you're networking, and then they will go out to other people, and you never know when somebody's going to just pull on that tendril and it's going to be your £10 million joint venture investor. But the biggest thing is, if you're not out there doing it, you're never going to find it. So use slight edge thinking, network with consistency, discipline and dedication, and eventually you will find your joint venture investor. So Faz, best of luck with that. Let us know how it goes. Keep us posted. It'll be great to find out. Well, we've had some seriously powerful questions actually today on Peg TV episode 3. That's been really awesome. Hopefully that's added some value. I would actually like to ask you a question, and I'm going to start doing this at the end of the episodes. It'd be good to hear what everybody else is doing. So if you're watching Peg TV, I'm going to ask you, what do you think is an entrepreneur? What do you think the definition of an entrepreneur is? Because it's something that's been playing in my mind for a while now, and I'm going to put it out actually on social media anyway as a Friday question, but it'd be good to contribute on this thread, because a lot of people talk about being entrepreneurs and what they're doing, but I'll be really interested to hear what your view is on what an entrepreneur actually is. Until episode 4, have a great time, have a great week, best of luck, and please post any success stories you have on the thread, and I'll speak to you on the next episode.